The evolution of rope rescue really started with a bunch of keen mountaineers. They were an eclectic sort from a variety of countries, some from Europe, some from Canada, and they came together and created a bit of a hodgepodge of mountaineering skills, which was amazing. Some of the methods today would be seen as quite archaic. There was things like boot axe belays, rope over the shoulder, and pulling somebody up in a very unstable stance. We had a few leaders, Ross Montgomery and Alan Danks, who focused on more of a team, an organized rope rescue response.
When we first started using rope, it was more in the civil defense way. We had hemp rope and laid rope, which is, the twisted rope. And we did have some nylon rope, but not very much. And to gain advantage, we had block and tackle and stuff like that. So it was all again orientated really to civil defense.
The group that I joined was initially civil defense. We spend a lot of time learning how to tie knots and use ropes for stabilizing damaged buildings from earthquakes or other civil defense related issues. And so there was a lot of knowledge of rope techniques, but not for search and rescue, which is a different type of rope technique required.
When I first joined the rescue team, we still practiced leaning ladders against buildings, putting patients onto the ladders and then using block and tackle to lower them to the ground. And that was hemp rope. And then we had what we called gold line nylon rope, which is like a 3-strand rope with sort of a static, low stretch rope. And then because we were mountaineering, we were already exposed to what we called kermental ropes. But typically for mountaineering or climbing, you're using a rope that's dynamic. It's going to take some energy absorption. If you fall, you don't want to just fall and your descent is stopped.
That's what I had been used to as a recreational climber, but there was not very much known about those if you put them into rescue situations. Like what happens when you put 4 people on a stretcher, a person in the stretcher, and on the rope. I mean, there was very little done in terms of research, so we had to do a lot of our own.
It was a friend of mine, John Breers, that said, look, we don't do this civil defense. We're needed in the mountains. Let's start getting modern and doing modern mountaineering rope rescue.
We introduced mountain rescue style body retrieval systems involving mechanical advantage. So instead of heaving on one single rope to pull somebody up a cliff, we might have a pulley.
That requires some understanding of what's going on with the pulley systems, the strength of the equipment you're using, the limitations of that equipment. That all had to be researched and had to be discussed with engineers. We had to do a lot of testing because the knowledge just wasn't out there. We damaged a lot of equipment in the testing in order to figure out what the limitations were.
I really loved the advantages that pulleys could give to systems, and I was just fascinated by the whole thing. And then eventually this led to what I thought was my expertise at the time, was high lines.
I think if we go back to Alan Danks with the high line, he was sort of one that really introduced high lines to the rescue team and really understood them, how to get a rope across a canyon.
It was common for us to, if we were going to try and get somebody out of the canyon, would put a rope across using a line gun. We'd shoot this line across, and it would be a high line, and you tension this high line. And Alan Danks had developed this English reeve that was this pulley system that would go along in the high line, and then you could position it over somebody out in the middle, and then another set of ropes would lower the stretcher straight down, and then we could pull it up and then pull it over.
It taught us a lot, and it helped set standards for how the team would manage any kind of a rope scenario.
I would say in the 80s, rope rescue started to evolve in British Columbia. We trained on a regular basis throughout the spring and early summer months in one of the canyons in rope rescue techniques. Several of our people participated in workshops around the province.
So right now I'm holding the weight of the stretcher, the victim, it's okay, and the barrel boy, and I can do it with one hand. So it just makes our life a lot easier.
And in the early 90s, 1991, through the Justice Institute, which was funded by the province of BC, started their Search and Rescue Academy, and I was one, Alan Danks, and one other member of the team, Ross Montgomery. We were the first candidates for rope rescue and instructors for the province.
Most of our calls come in usually at night time or in the early morning when it's dark, mainly because the subject is overdue, the reports have been made, the team has been activated.
Once the patient is loaded into the sled, the team begins the difficult and dangerous task of getting him off the unstable slope.
That's good. Okay, next move. Up rope! Rope rescue techniques over the years have changed in the way that we have lighter gear, we have a little bit less, how we lower someone to get somebody and bring them back up have changed.
In 2016, we transitioned to using DC-TTRS as our primary rescue technique, and that stands for Dual Capability 2-Tension Rope System. So this is a big change from our previous system, which was dedicated main, dedicated belay.
So there'd be one main line and then there'd be one safety line. The safety line was never under tension. The main line was to lower somebody down and, grab the subject or patient and then bring them back up.
But what some studies showed is that that didn't actually work. So if the main load rope broke, the loose rope was just as likely to be cut as well. So what they found is that the study showed if both ropes had load on them and were subject to a large force, or maybe over a sharp edge, they were far less likely to break than the previous technique we used.
Over the years, we've had several major embankment rope rescues where we've strung out 300-foot ropes maybe 10 times and hauling the stretcher up with an injured person, that 300 feet, transitioning to the next 300 feet, transitioning to the next 300 feet, all the way to get the person up to safety so they can get into an ambulance. So being able to be competent in these situations and getting it done efficiently is really the best thing we can have. It is really important, and that's why we need our rope rescue certification.
Tonight we're going to evaluate people on your rappel ascend skills. This means going over the edge, communicating, and everything's safe. So let's buddy up with a belayer, and then we'll send you up. We have 5 stations ready to go.
Blue rope ready.
Red rope ready?
Red rope ready.
Up on both.
The new system, there's a lot more hours that you have to put in. You have a full weekend of learning the new system, and then you have a full weekend of the actual exam.
The rope rescue has people who are accredited. There are four levels, and the first one is rope rescue awareness, which is just having a clue about what's going on so you can be of use to us in the field. And that's just an online course. The next level after that is technician level 1 or tech 1. You are able to work on what's the not going over the edge. So you can work on the top, and you can run haul systems, you can build anchors and such like that, but you can't be the stretcher attendant who goes over the edge. Nicely done. Good, you're through the knots. And then that leads into Tech 2, which is the next level up, which means you have enough skills to manage a subject in the stretcher when you're hanging in space and make sure nothing goes wrong. For a rope rescue team leader, you have to be a Tech 1 and a Tech 2. You've done those courses. And then you need safety awareness because you're leading the show. You have to be concerned with risk assessment and making sure our members stay safe, because that is our number one priority, is keeping ourselves safe in the field.
Also, the province has mandated that you have to have so many hours of practice per year in order to maintain status as a rope Tech 1 or Tech 2 or a TL.
Stop! Need a hand draw? Nope. Slow, guys, slow. Good job, good job. Stop.
This stuff is essential to human life. If we've got someone whose entire weight is on the rope, they're not climbing. It's not like climbing where you're pulling the rope with you as a backup. This is their primary support. So if the rope fails, or both ropes fail, then someone can die. So for my responsibility as a team leader, I had to be extremely aware of the angles involved, sharp edges, the skill levels of my teammates, and making sure that we don't make a mistake.